What's up, Eagles Nation? Happy game day for this week, of course, in the NFL. Week 10, I believe, is the week. Sometimes, you lose track of after a bye week and all. But the Eagles, of course, coming into this week after a bye week, they are they are 3-4-1. Not the greatest of records, but they have won the last two games. All right, so it was ugly the last game against Dallas. It was an ugly game. Carson Wentz was a turnover machine. The team was fortunate, though, that Dallas went with DiNucci instead of Gilbert, because Gilbert looked pretty good last week against the Steelers in a near win for Dallas, a surprising near win for Dallas against the undefeated Steelers, though, of course, remained undefeated. Thank you, Steelers, with a win against Dallas. And but hey, I mean, Dallas, at least for what it's worth for their fan base, showed some signs of life last week against the Steelers. The Eagles, though, look, they were fortunate to get that win a few weeks ago. It was an ugly game for both teams. It really was. It was a turnover fest. It was just bad quarterback play on both sides for both teams. And the unfortunate thing, of course, for us as Eagles Nation is it was another, it was a struggle for Carson Wentz against a team who he should have dominated. That defense, as I said, going into that week, was just not good. I mean, it's the Dallas Cowboys, right? They don't have a D. The struggling defense coming into that game, and I've always said this, and I will always say this: is it is a week to week deal with the NFL. You just never know what to expect, particularly this season, right? With all the peaks and valleys that this season has had, the up and down, the COVID situation for different teams. You just never know what to expect. It's a weird kind of season, and it certainly has played itself out throughout the first 8 games for the Eagles, and in some respects, maybe they're lucky to be 3-4-1 at this point. Because some of those wins could have been losses. Now, some of those losses could have been wins, so maybe they could have had a little better record than what they have right now. But as it is, they're in the worst division in football. Not their fault. I mean, it's not up to the Eagles what those other three teams are doing or not doing in this division. And it is still a very winnable division. And to me, the Eagles should win the division again. They to me, they have the team to get it done, to win a division title, even though it's a bad division. I mean, the Patriots weren't complaining all those years in the AFC East when they really didn't have much competition to speak of in that division. And the Patriots were a much far superior team. But, the fact of the matter remains that this division should be won if the Eagles do the things that they should be able to do the rest of the way to win the division. And you know what? And there's still a chance. Who knows? I mean, right now, it looks like the division winners will be the 1 through 4 seeds, but obviously with the COVID and, who knows what could happen. But if things play out the way they may play out still, is the Eagles would at least maybe be I guess they would be the 4 seed, and then they would have a home playoff game as it was a season ago. Now, they lost that game to Seattle, and of course we all remember the cheap shot by Clowney on Wentz, but lost that game. But, again, you get in, you never know what can happen. I just want to get in, because I still want playoff football for this team. I want playoff football for Carson Wentz. I want him to have experience in the playoffs and hopefully not get cheap shotted out of the game this year and actually play a playoff game, for God's sakes. But to do that, there's work to be done in these next 8 games. They have to have, still, I would like to see them having a winning record through these 8 games. Getting in, going on a bit of a run, and you never know what can happen. It's a weird game. It's a weird sport at times, and just odd things have happened in the past. I mean, we did win a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. Let's not forget, who went on to become the game's MVP. And speaking of that, listen, I know it's been a struggle for number 11 this season, and I have been a Carson Wentz fan. I've been a Carson Wentz supporter. I felt that he should have been the guy, whether it was between him and Nick Foles. I thought the Eagles did the right move by moving on from Nick, as thankful as we'll always be for what he did at the end of that season and into the playoffs and winning Super Bowl 52, Super Bowl MVP. And of course, the next season after Carson gets hurt, he comes in and, uh, helps the Eagles into the playoffs, wins the double doink game in Chicago, even though he didn't have a great game in that game, but still won the double doink game, had a chance to beat the Saints in New Orleans. Alshon Jeffrey lets the ball go through his hands. It's an interception, heartbreak end. But, Nick Foles did a lot of great things. But I still believe that Carson Wentz should have been the guy going forward. And I still believe they made the right choice. But it has to be better. And I know that's the biggest understatement of the season is it has to be better for Carson, right? He has to play better. Now, they are starting to get some guys back. They're starting to get more weapons in the tool chest for him back off the injury list. I know Alshon Jeffrey's coming in. And look, like it or hate it, Alshon, at least, if anything else, is another weapon in the red zone. He has been a pretty good red zone target for touchdowns for Carson over the years. And, I'll still take Alshon Jeffrey over J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Of course, I would still take DK Metcalf over him, too. But that, unfortunately, the fans didn't make that decision. Howie. But anyhow, that's just one. Hey, that is one that's going to go with Howie to his grave, not drafting DK Metcalf when he had the chance. Now, other teams didn't either, and let's not forget that. But, yeah, probably should have drafted him over J-Jaw. They should have done. There was a few, we can revisit some of the misses that Howie's made in the drafts. Look, there's quite a few players that could be here right now, right? Metcalf could have been here. Alvin Kamara could have been here. Cook could have been here, right? Devin Cooks could have been here, right? Jefferson could be here right now as a receiver. There's a lot of what ifs, right? What could have, should have, would have. Boy, how would this offense look with those guys here? My goodness, either Kamara or Cooks at running back, and all due respect to Sanders, who's played pretty good, but my goodness, you get one of those guys and DK Metcalf and I mean, I don't know if we're all complaining at this point. I think the offense is much more explosive. Now, the play calling still has to be better by Doug. But at the same time, yeah, there was mistakes made. But that's for another day. We'll revisit that stuff after the season, right? Let's talk about what we have right now and the players that we have right now, right? Because they are starting to get some guys back. Lane Johnson, Isaac Sayamalo, I believe, will be back on the offensive line. And that's a plus. Because this offensive line, look, I don't think they have been horrendous. Look, they could have been a lot worse than how this offensive line has played to this point this season. I know it got off to a rough start against Washington, and ultimately I think it was one of their worst games. Because I know the Ravens got, pressure on Wentz in that game, particularly in the first half of that game weeks ago. But honestly, I don't think the offensive line can be really thrown in for the blame for a lot of their losses this season, right? I think for the most part, even though they've been patchwork, they played pretty good in front of number 11. But still, you had a lot of backups playing in front of him. You had a lot of young, unproven receivers, although making plays like Fulgham. I mean, my goodness, what a godsend he's been, right? We talk about, not getting DK Metcalf, not getting, not drafting this guy or that guy. But Travis Fulgham has worked out pretty good. So, it's an example of kind of an unknown, coming in and stepping in and making the most of his opportunity. More than most of his opportunity, to be the number one receiver of the team. So yeah, but there's been a lot of unproven players out there for Carson, right? A lot of guys that have been kind of his mainstays, kind of his go-tos, like Alshon Jeffrey, at the wide receiver position. Like a Zach Ertz, obviously, his BFF, right, for the tight end position, not even having Dallas Goedert for some weeks, okay, having to rely on other guys in those positions. And, yeah, it's been a struggle for Carson, and he has made more than his fair share of mistakes. Those interceptions, trying to fit a ball into double coverage, particularly in the end zone, just looking bad, fumbling the ball. Some of those fumbles against Dallas were just, come on, man, get rid of the ball, throw the ball away. He's hanging onto the ball, he gets sacked, the ball comes loose. It was ugly. We know how ugly that game was. But now it's a couple weeks after, and look, like I said, you're starting to get some guys back. Maybe you have some cohesiveness with some of those young players, which is good. But now you're adding a couple players here and there. They'll get Zach Ertz back in a few weeks, more than likely. I mean, I don't know about Deshaun. Even if he comes back, he'll probably go down in that game. So, I mean, I don't know if you can really rely on Deshaun for the rest of the season. But they do get Miles Sanders back today, which is a big plus, as well as Boston Scott. And look, let's not forget their opponent today is the New York Giants, and Boston Scott is the Giants' killer, right? He has scored more touchdowns against the Giants than he has against any other team in his short career to this point, right? Including the game winner against the Giants a few weeks ago on a beautiful pass by Carson. Look, Carson has made a lot of mistakes, but that pass to Boston Scott to beat the Giants was a beautiful ball. Put perfect placement for Boston to make that play and for the go-ahead score and ultimately the game-winning touchdown some weeks ago. And look, they're playing a familiar opponent, right? They're playing a familiar opponent again this week, the New York Giants in the Meadowlands, a place where the Eagles have owned over the years. And since MetLife Stadium has opened, the Eagles have a winning record there. I believe they also have a winning record in the Jerry World, too, since that opened. But I know for sure they do have a winning record at MetLife. They've won a lot of games there. Giant fans know. The Eagles are one of those teams that Giant fans are just so tired of losing to that they want to beat so badly. It would be like their Super Bowl, right? You know how it was for us many years ago in Eagles Nation back in the 90s when beating Dallas was like the big thing, right? And they would beat them once a year, right? Even in those years where Dallas was winning Super Bowls, the Eagles would beat them once a year, and we felt so good. It was like a big thing, right? Because Dallas, to me, has always been the big rival. And I know historically it's the Giants. The old heads out there, the older Eagle fans will say it's the Giants, right? Even some of the younger Eagle fans, because in reality, it was the Giants, not Dallas, that was the big thorn in the side for the Eagles for those years when the Giants were having success, right? And Dallas was not very good. Now, for me, it's Dallas. It will always be Dallas. That's the team I hate the most. That's the team that I get most pleasure out of beating and seeing them lose week to week, even though their injury list is long and, they're just not very good. I still enjoy watching them lose. I really do. Jerry sitting there in his box. I keep losing, baby. And they won't lose enough to get Lawrence, okay, because he's going to the Jets. So I don't think as bad as these teams are in this division this year, none of them are going to get Trevor Lawrence because he's going to go to the Jets. Because they're going to, I'm telling you, they're going to lose. They're tanking. They're going to lose every game. They're going to be 0-16 and they'll get Lawrence, or 1-15 and they'll get Lawrence. And the Giants or Washington or Dallas won't. Well, Dallas has to re-sign Dak, right? So they have their own thing to worry about there. But none of them are getting him because they're not going to be bad enough to get him. So, hey, even though it's a losing for them, it's a win for us. He's not in our division. And who knows how he's going to be as a pro. He looks really good as a collegiate. We've seen it before, though. So many players that have just lit the world on fire in college come to the NFL, and it could be different. He looks like he's going to be one of the good ones, but, we'll see. We'll see. But anyhow, getting back to the Eagles, right? This is a big game. And the Giants, for all their problems, have actually played better in recent weeks, including the game against the Eagles. I mean, obviously, if Ingram catches that ball late in the fourth quarter, they win the game. And we're not talking about a win after that week, even though, obviously the Eagles had to make the plays that they made after that and had that go-ahead score by Boston Scott. That's a loss. If Ingram catches that ball late in the fourth quarter, that's a win for the Giants and a loss for the Eagles, and the Giant fans can be, celebratory because they finally beat the Eagles. As I was saying before, years ago, it was we were all feeling so good about, we've beaten Dallas, right? Well, the Giant fans are feeling like they just want to beat us, right? Bones and Kyle Pizzle and all those giant, video makers out there, all they want to do is beat the Eagles. Even if they don't make the playoffs this year, they just want to beat the Eagles. They're just so tired of losing to the Eagles. And as an Eagles fan, I'm just happy to keep being the Giants. Because I remember many years ago when it was the other way around and the Eagles just couldn't beat the Giants for whatever they tried to do. It was a loss after a loss after loss to the Giants. So I certainly remember when it was on the other, the shoe was on the other foot, right? So I'm happy now that the Eagles just own the Giants, and the Giants probably have two decals on their helmet, right? The NY and the Eagles logo, because they're owned by both, it seems. To the point where the Eagles, after all these years, right, late last season, I believe, after the win they had at the end of the season against the Giants, now have the series lead. And these are two teams that have played each other for many years, going back to the 30s. So, yeah, I mean, to finally have the series lead in wins over the other team is a pretty big accomplishment. Because for many years it was the Giants that had the series lead. Well, now it's the Eagles, and they've tacked on another one with that win a few weeks ago. And let's tack on again. It's a big game. I mean, look, it's an NFC East game. It's a road game for what it's worth. I know there's no fans there, but it's a road game. And you are playing a team that's feeling good about themselves. They are coming off a win. Last week, the Giants beat the Washington football team. They nearly beat the Eagles a few weeks ago. They played better. They're not a dumpster fire. Like, when I look at Dallas, I see a dumpster fire. Okay, I see a team that's just, and I know they played better last week against Pittsburgh, but they just can't help but get in their own way. It's like, Keystone Cops with that team, right? With the Giants, I mean, look, Danny Jones is, I still don't know if he's the guy there, okay? I think a lot of Giant fans don't know if he's the guy. I think he's talented. He makes a lot of mistakes. He turns the ball over a lot. I know they're coming off a game where he didn't turn the ball over. Can he do that 2 weeks in a row? I don't know. But can Carson come into a week where he doesn't turn the ball over, right? Honestly, I think it's the team that makes the fewest mistakes that's going to win this game. I think if Danny dimes the ball into the Eagles defenders' hands this week, and Carson doesn't turn the ball over, the Eagles are going to win. If Carson plays the way he did against Dallas a few weeks ago with 4 turnovers and is a turnover machine, and, even though he has, guys coming back, is just not, hasn't, it's like the light, the switch hasn't been flipped, and we don't see good Carson this week, the Eagles are going to lose. Because you can't mess around with the Giants. I mean, the Giants, like I said, the Giants have not been the total dumpster fire that their record might say they are, right? They play hard. I mean, the one thing I will say about them is with their new coach there, they have played hard. They haven't won a lot of games, but they're playing hard. Their defense is playing pretty good. They're getting turnovers. They're making plays. And the offense, I mean, for what it's worth, I know Danny Jones has been a turnover machine throughout his career, but, you give them a chance, they're going to make plays. I do like the Eagles' defense against them. For whatever, the Eagles' defense always seems to play well against the Giants. Like when Eli was there, Danny Dimes is there. It just they seem to just rise up against the Giants and get turnovers and get sacks and get to the quarterback. I know Jones had that long 80-yard run, and he kind of stumbled and bumbled and fell, and that became pretty good lolcow for a while, probably on the season. But again, he made a play. I mean, he ran for 80 freaking yards. A quarterback ran for 80 yards against his defense on one play, right? So don't give him the opportunity. Get the turnovers. He is a turnover factory, okay? He's been one in his career. Get the turnovers. And for Carson, you got to limit the damage, man. Don't turn over. Carson, and the thing that's so maddening about this season is throughout his career, if you go back and look at the numbers, throughout his career before this season, Carson Wentz was not a turnover machine. He didn't throw a lot of interceptions. Now, he fumbled the ball. All right, he holds onto the ball too long. That has been a problem for him. That's been the one bugaboo going into this season as far as turnovers that he has had. But now this season, he's mixed in the interceptions. And bad interceptions, drive killers, right? Interceptions in the end zone. It's like against Dallas, they just kept trying to pick on that one cornerback, right? The whole game. It's like there's other guys. That defense as a whole isn't good. You can throw the ball in other areas. They kept trying to pick on the one guy, and he got an interception. And he nearly had a couple more. So I don't know what the game plan was there. Just go, let's just throw in his direction the whole game. And they made some plays on him, but he made some plays on us. So ultimately, that has been the most maddening thing. It's been the turnovers. It's been the interceptions. The interceptions more than anything. The fumbles we've seen. And that's never going to go. It's just the way he is. It's how he's wired. I don't know if that's something you can change. I really don't. Now, you can say, well, he can get rid of the ball. In fact, I heard a stat that this season Carson Wentz has actually thrown the ball away more than any other quarterback, which is surprising, right? Because you think of him holding onto the ball too long, the fumble, the fumbleitis that he has all season, right? But he's actually gotten rid of the ball more than thrown the ball away more than any other quarterback. Now, I heard that about a week ago, and it was surprising to me. That's the thing that we're always yelling at him to do, including last week, or a couple weeks ago, rather, against Dallas. Throw the ball away, Carson. What are you doing? It's a problem. And to me, the bigger problem has been the interceptions. And they have just been killers at times, right? Drive killers. I mean, they're going in for a touchdown. Here comes the interception, right? God, he's got to play better, and I know he can play better. See, this is the worst part of it, is that we know he can play better because we've seen it. And I'm not just talking about the 2017 year where he could have been the league MVP. Last season, last 4 games, had to win all of them. He did, right? Clutch situations, crucial situations, much needed wins. They needed to win every game last season, the last 4 games after that Miami game, and they did. And he played great in those games. He really did. Thread the needle passes. That touchdown against Washington in the end zone to Miles Sanders. My God. I don't know if there's any other quarterback in the league, even Patrick Mahomes, that would make that throw. So we've seen it. We saw it at the end of that Giants game a couple weeks ago, right? Where all hope looked lost. And he comes in there, he's 2 straight drives, touchdowns, right? We've seen that. We know what he's capable of doing, and yet it's been too much the opposite. Now, I am still hopeful for the rest of the season. I still think that, they're getting some guys back healthy. Now, obviously, every week other guys go out. So, you take that for what it's worth. And it is a COVID season, so who knows what can happen with that. But it's up to Carson to play better. It's up to Doug to do better with the game plan. It's up to Doug to do better with the play calling. And I really don't want to get on the topic about Brett Favre and the whole, well, we should have kept Nick Foles and, the fans feeling, well, should Jalen Hurts be in there? Let me tell you something. Jalen Hurts is not going to be the answer the rest of the season, okay? If Jalen Hurts comes in and is the quarterback, it's the Eagles throwing up the white flag. Because he is not, nothing against the guy. Look, he's thrown, 1 pass so far? He has 1 read so far. He hasn't gone up against NFL defenses, really. He's been in there for a few plays a game. That's just not enough. And it's, unlike the Dolphins situation, right, where you had the quarterback of the future in Tua, I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback of the future. I don't know what Jalen Hurts is. I have no idea. I see the guy coming in for a few plays a game, and let's be honest. Let's be honest here. I think some of those plays have been absolutely stupid for Doug to bring him in. Because there's been times where Carson, and I know it's been a struggle for him at times this season, okay? He's going on a nice drive, and on 2nd down and 6 or whatever, they bring in Jalen Hurts, and he gets stuffed at the line or he loses yards. They tackle him for a loss, and now it's 3rd and long. And that kills a drive. Because then the Eagles don't convert, and then, they're either punting or they're settling for a field goal. When you had a quarterback in rhythm in Carson Wentz and you bring in Jalen Hurts for a trick play. It's like, what? You're not even doing the Philly special. So, to me, I don't get Jalen Hurts. And I believe that this fan base has always, as long as I can remember, and before that, has had a love affair with the backup quarterback. They just always have. All right, and let me remind Eagles Nation that in 2017, when the Eagles won a Super Bowl, right, with Nick Foles, and Nick Foles went on to be the Super Bowl MVP, after that meaningless game against Dallas in Week 17, and it was as meaningless as it comes, and Dallas won that game. It was like whatever the score was, it was a low-scoring game, 10-3 or whatever the heck it was, right? low scoring. It just meant nothing. The Eagles had everything locked up, number one seed, everything. Nick Foles struggled. He didn't play the whole game. He was in there for like what? Not even a half, I believe, or whatever it was. Limited action. He struggled. He threw an interception. He wasn't very good. And the fans wanted Sudfeld, who played the rest of that game. It looked okay, but played the rest of that game. And the fans were clamoring for Sudfeld after that game. And there was really a division going into that playoffs. Remember that we had the bye. So it was like 2 weeks of talk of, should they go with Sudfeld or should they go with Foles? Who's going to start the game against Atlanta, right? And then, of course, it was Foles, and as it should have been. And then he struggled the first. People forget, and the Folesian society forgets this, okay? He struggled the first half against Atlanta in that playoff game. It was an ugly first half to the point where Eagle fans were starting to say, they should put Sudfeld in. I think Sudfeld should come in for the second half. Of course, he didn't. It was Foles, and the rest is history. Okay, so there's a lot of revisionist history in this town. And there's a lot of love for the backup quarterback. The backup quarterback is the greatest position you can have on the Eagles. Because it's the one player that this fan base is not going to boo. Okay? It's the one player on the Eagles that the fans are just going to love and throw bouquets at and say, you got to get in there, buddy. You got to get in there. Until he gets in there and he screws up, and then the fans are like, why the hell is he in there? Right? Year after year, it's the backup quarterback for the Eagles. That's the guy. So now, of course, it's Jalen Hurts. Right? And what happens? Look, if Wentz struggles today and they put in Jalen Hurts, and they say, all right, Jalen Hurts, you're our guy, and then Jalen Hurts struggles, what's going to happen then, right? What are we doing after this season? What, are the Eagles going to draft another quarterback, right? The quote-unquote Howie Roseman quote, the quarterback factory. I hear there's another North Dakota State quarterback looking pretty good. Are they going to get him in the draft this season? The quarterback factory, right? I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, it's like at some point you got to get off the hamster wheel. At some point you got to say, look, Carson, you're paying him all that money. He's got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy. And for Carson, listen, you got to grow a pair, buddy, all right? You're a starting quarterback in the NFL. You've been paid like one. You can't sit there and say, oh, they drafted Jalen Hurts. Oh, no. Look, you got to take the reins and be the guy. Because how many times have we seen other starting quarterbacks in this league, right? Veterans in this league where a young quarterback is drafted. And that starting quarterback of that franchise who's been the mainstay, it's just what they crumble or they prove that I'm still the guy. If you want this job, you take it from me. How many times do we see Aaron Rodgers do that? Tom Brady's done it, right? Other quarterbacks have done it. You think if Seattle drafts a guy, Russell Wilson's going to go, oh, okay, well, it's over for me. No, he's going to tell the team, look, I'm still your guy, and I'm going to prove it. And he's going to go out and throw the touchdown record of the season, right? Right? I mean, it happens. And I still don't think it was right that they drafted Jalen Hurts because I think they didn't need it was a position they didn't need to draft. They should have gone after a defensive linebacker. They should have, or another position of need. And that was almost like a luxury pick in the second round. And I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to be the guy. I don't know enough about him. Every time I see him in there, he's not really making a play. Every now and then he makes a play, but I've seen more than anything. It's always that same quarterback option play. He comes in there, and it's like quarterback option, and then he gets stuffed at the line, or he loses yards or something. I've seen that more than anything else. I mean, Taysom Hill, he isn't to this point, okay? I'm seeing Saints games where Taysom Hill is like breaking 3 tackles. I haven't seen Jalen Hurts break 1 tackle so far. All respect to the guy. He could be really good. But I haven't seen enough of him to warrant him to come into the game, particularly when Carson's on a nice drive. When they're in the red zone, when they're in scoring position. They'll put Jalen Hurts in there then. Drive killer. Or they throw him out there as a wide receiver. He hasn't caught a ball yet all season. He's not fooling anybody. And certainly when Wentz is out there, he's not fooling anybody. At wide receiver, I mean, it's one thing if Nick Foles is still here and he was going out as wide receiver. We know he can catch. Tom Brady knows he can catch. Patriots fans know he can catch. Philly, Philly. But anyhow, to me, Carson's got to be the guy. He has got to take the reins, and for the rest of these 8 games and into the playoffs, he's got to say, look, this is me. I'm the quarterback of the Eagles. I'm the starting quarterback. This is my job, and if anyone wants to take it from me, they got to earn it. And he's got to ball out, man. Because the rest of the season, rest of these 8 games, it's on Carson. To me, it's on Carson. You put Jalen Hurts in there, all right. It's not the same situation as the Dolphins with Tua. It just isn't. Carson Wentz has to be the guy. And as Carson goes, this team's going to go the rest of the season. And Eagle fans just got to deal with it. Just got to deal with it. Because it's not going to be Jalen Hurts. It's not. He doesn't even get the reps with the first strings in practice. It's not him. It's got to be Carson. He's got to play better. And he can play better. That's the most damning thing about this. He can play better. And he has to play better for this team to succeed the rest of the season, including today against the Giants. And again, I didn't want to make this whole video about Carson. It's been talked about to death. I mean, I'm tired of hearing about it on sports talk radio. It's too much. Brett Favre's an idiot. You know, I mean, just stick to the Wrangler commercials, all right? Because Nick Foles hasn't exactly lit the world on fire any other team he's been on. And all due respect to the man, all due respect to him, he'll always have a free meal here. He'll always have a free drink here at a bar if he so chooses to. Super Bowl 52 MVP will always remember. But Nick Foles has never really... He had like one season as a starter in the NFL with the Eagles. It was a great season. Was it 27-2, right? Touchdown to interception ratio, and then they lost in that playoff game to the Saints. But going forward with him as a starting quarterback every year, I don't know. I don't know if he could do it. You know, he's been a backup for many years, and whenever he gets a chance and an opportunity with other teams, he just doesn't succeed. It's not always his fault. And I think he was done dirty by the Jaguars. I mean, we all see how wonderful Minshew was this season. But I don't know. I mean, if Nick Foles is here, I honestly don't know if he could be the starting quarterback for year after year after year. Again, all due respect to the man. There's some quarterbacks, they're a backup. They come in in emergency situations and maybe for a brief period of time look really good. But you go year after year with them and then you start to see the warts. I mean, look, not for nothing, when Foles started those games the year after the Super Bowl, right? It was a struggle. The offense wasn't like lighting the world on fire. They lost that game to Tampa Bay. They got blown out by Tampa Bay. In Tampa, you know, the Jameis friggin' Winston. I mean, come on. You know, and again, I don't want to say mean things about Nick Foles. God love the guy. God bless him for winning Super Bowl 52, for you know, the dream come true, right? But as an everyday starter, I don't know. And I don't know about Wentz either. Look, to me, Carson still has work to do to prove that he's earned that money, right? To earn that bread. He still has work to do. And he has to play better. And like I said many a time, he can play better. I've seen him play better. He hasn't been that turnover machine that he has been so far this season. I don't know what's going on there. Look, 2020 has been horrible. So, I mean, here we have a quarterback that's never been an interception machine. And in 2020, he's an interception machine. All right, so I don't know what to tell you. 2020 sucks. I can't wait for 2021. Only another little over a month to go now, okay? But bottom line, he has to play better, and if he doesn't, this team isn't going to win. And if Jalen Hurts comes in here, they're not going to win either. So enough of the Jalen Hurts. You know, it has to be Carson. It has to be Carson, and he can be the guy. I've seen him do it. And I still have belief in the man. You know, maybe I'm going down with the Titanic, but I still have belief in the man, and I think he can turn it around. Again, they're starting to get some guys back healthy. Miles Sanders is a big guy to get back. You know, hey, and Doug, don't forget about number 26. Give him the ball. All right, don't let Carson just be out there throwing it, throwing. Particularly if he's having an interception late in season. Well, you do have a pretty good running back to hand the ball off to. Maybe you want to run the ball a little. I'm just saying. Anyhow, that's it. That's my rant for now. Big game. Yeah, 1 o'clock on Fox. 1 o'clock on Festive. And the Eagles have a big game today against the Giants. Because, look, the Giants, in this division, they don't think their season's over. Okay? So if they get a win today, they're looking better, right? So Eagles, continue to do what you've done over the years and beat the Giants. And keep those Giant fans miserable. Right? And look, Carson has to play better. Doug has to do a better job. It goes hand in hand, right? The quarterback has to play better, but the coach has to be better too. You know, a lot of these mistakes, it's on the coaching too. Some of these play calling, the going forward on fourth down when maybe you shouldn't. Just saying. Doug's got to be better too. It goes hand in hand. It really does. Anyhow, again, before the end of this, before we get into the Festive Four, I do want to give a salute to all of our brave men and women. I know Veterans Day was just a few days ago. To all the brave men and women who have served in the past or continue to serve today, thank you all for your service. It can never be said enough. You all are the real heroes in this world. And of course, the medical professions out there, the firefighters, the police officers who are doing the right things. Okay, I know this has been a year for that, but certainly for all the troops out there, thank you all so much. This is the 2020 Salute to Service hat, and I really like this one. I got the one a few years ago. I didn't get last year's, but I just picked this up yesterday. Shout out to my buddy Mark M. TJ fan was with him yesterday. Got this at Lids. I really like it. It's got the the logo right there. You got the what's that? The 5-star, I believe. Yeah, the 5-star. Within the hat there. You got the PHI for Philadelphia, of course, and the E, of course, for the Eagles. New Era, of course. It's a flex fit. You got the the ribbon on the back at the NFL shield, and it's got the camo under brim. Under visors are a big thing this year for hats. So it's got the camo under. Very nice hat. I really like it. It's the brand new one for this year. Feel free to pick it up. Of course, it has the flag on the other side. Feel free to pick this up for anyone who has interest. It's just a nice hat. I really like it. And, of course, it serves the purpose as a salute to our brave men and women who either have served or continue to serve this country. And, hey, the country, it's been a lot of things going on this year in 2020, including having a new president now. So we'll see. With Joe Biden, the Eagles fan. Joe Biden. We have an Eagles fan in office. So, good luck to Joe, and congrats to him. But this is not about politics. This channel will never be about politics. I know there's two things you never talk about, right? Religion and politics. So, I keep that to myself. But I will always talk about sports. I was always, which is a dangerous thing to talk about too. But I will always talk about the Eagles too, as we look forward to this week's game against the Giants, which kicks off in about an hour and a half from now. So I better hurry up and then post this vid before the game, right? That would be good. All right, so let's get to the weekly Festive Four. Coming into this week, Festive, and of course, didn't do it last week. Apologies, bye week, what have you. Got a little lazy, didn't make the video. But Festive coming into this week went 3-1 in the last picks, and is now 20-8 on the season. I mean, my goodness, Festive. My goodness, there's a lot of people in the NFL network that can't be 20-8 right now. But anyhow, the imagine Festive sitting at the table. Well, they have that wolf, right? Michael Irvin now has this big wolf for the lone wolf, and Festive needs to be on that table too, with the Eagles ball right next to the playmaker, right, so he can see that Eagles ball the whole time. Just anyhow, let's get to the weekly Festive Four. So first of all, Festive likes Miami. 2-time in Miami, and Festive likes Miami against those LA Chargers, the Heartbreak Chargers, to win that game. Festive likes Seattle to bounce back after a tough one against Buffalo last week against the other LA team, the Rams, in a division game there. Festive also likes Cleveland over Houston, and to round it off, Festive believes Tom Brady might play a little better this week than he did a week ago against the Saints. and Festive likes Tampa Bay in another division game to beat the Carolina Panthers. So that's the Festive Four for this week, week 10, 20-8. My goodness, Festive. Ugh. I don't know. That's a record that we all could be proud of. Hopefully the Eagles have a little better record too. But 20-8, my goodness, that's getting it done. The one thing that's been consistent, I know the Eagles haven't been very consistent this season, but the one thing's been consistent has been Festive's picks. I mean, Festive's just one after another, just W's. Festive's eating more W's than Jameis Winston ever did. So anyhow, that's it. Hey, as always, let's go Birds. Let's continue this winning thing, right? Hey, it's a tough schedule. I don't look at the games. I've always said this. I don't look at the games that are coming. I look at the game that's right here, and it's against the New York Football Giants. Let's continue that dominance over the Giants. Get another big win. Get to 500. Oh, my goodness. 4-4-1. But I will take it. I will take it, and then we'll deal with the rest of the season as it comes. All right, Eagles Nation, thanks for watching. And as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Once you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you'll be alerted to more future videos by yours truly. And leave that thumbs up. Leave that thumbs up, Eagles Nation. Leave that thumbs up. And also feel free to leave comments below. What are your thoughts on the rest of the season? We're at the halfway point right now. What are your thoughts on the rest of the season? What do you think the Eagles could do the rest of the season? And what would you like to see out of the game today? All right, everyone. Take care. Go Birds. And I'll see you after the game at some point. All right. Bye.